Hey guys, Brett here. We're gonna do a quick. I don't know if it's gonna be quick, but we're gonna do a walkthrough of the mix, kind of a behind-the-scenes look here at our first single, "Suffocated." Now, I don't, ever say that I know what I'm doing. A lot of this stuff I just figured it out over the years of dicking with stuff and working through it, and so there's gonna be a lot of people out there that know a lot more than I do. But I'm doing the best I can with what I got. Always learning, always willing to take pointers. But I think the mix that we got on this song is really darn good for what we had to work with. I mean, we recorded this in a garage. This is where I'm at right now, a two-car garage. The drums are right behind me. Microphone I did the vocals with is right here. There's no sound booths. It's all wide open. Um, but I think what we were able to achieve with this is pretty cool. I think it sounds good. Anyways, we're gonna walk through a little bit of what we did with the mix here, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this. I'm not gonna try to be too serious about it, so let's just do it. So here we go. All right, we're gonna jump into the screen here. First things first. Obviously, I run Pro Tools for those nerds that know that kind of stuff. It's the best, of course, but actually, no, I don't know if it's the best or not. Everyone can use their own thing. I just know Pro Tools because this is all I've used for, a few days. So, works well for what I got going on. So Pro Tools, my interfaces down here on the table. I got two Apogees. I got Element 46, which basically means 4 inputs, and an Element 88 over here, which is 8 inputs. I don't really use the 88 very much. We used to use it for live drums, and we don't fully mic up the drum set now. So we'll talk about that in a minute here. We're doing a kind of a hybrid with triggered MIDI and overheads. So anyways, them Apogee systems, whether it be the little bitty ones, I don't know what they're called, whatever. Little ones or the bigger ones like these, I just think they're great interfaces, and they're often overlooked, I think. Very clear, transparent recordings, and they seem to work very well, very, very well built too. So check them out. Anyways, on to the Pro Tools here. So here is our mix. You can kind of look through it. I did my best to organize it. I don't know. If you don't like it, then just don't look. But we're going to start down here at the bottom where the drums reside. So as you can see, and what I mentioned earlier is we do a hybrid. So what that means is we don't fully mic up the drum set, mainly because it's a pain in the butt, and we don't really have a sound room that would qualify to do it justice. So what we did was we used D-drum triggers mounted on the drum set itself, and then we had a MIDI interface that we ran into the computer and basically replaced the hits of each drum with a MIDI sample. In this case, we used the GGD, I believe it was the metal drum set. And I don't just use it straight out the gate, like just bare bones, that's what it is. I actually do some things to it to kind of make it sound like our own. So there's a slight compression I'll run on that, and some EQ to kind of change the tone of that drum set so it doesn't just sound like any GGD metal kit. So, and then we run 2 overheads. We got a overhead left and right, just 2 right over the top. I didn't do a room mic or anything because, again, we're in a garage, so I wanted to limit the amount of weird frequencies as possible. So the 2 overhead mics work very well. We just like the sound of the natural cymbals. Nothing against GGD cymbals, but they seem a little bright and almost too crispy for what we were wanting to do. And I think the brand of cymbals they use is a little different. We use a lot of Zildjians, heavy Zildjians, like old Z Customs. I know we got a 22-inch ping ride that absolutely sounds great. 14-inch quick beat hi-hats, again, Zildjian. Also had some Zill bells on some different tracks we did, and of course a China. You can't go without a China. I mean, you just got to beat on a thing. Just do it. Anyways, we just like the way those natural drums sounded. The overheads, and then blended it with the GGD samples of the MIDI drums. I think it worked really well. And you can see down here on the screen, obviously that orange instrument track is the MIDI drums. and overhead right, overhead left is what we got going on. And you'll see a lot of cuts and edits on those overhead cymbals. And reason being is because hardly any drummer, I don't think any drummer really, is going to play perfectly in time when they're playing a live set. Now, Ken did an excellent job with this. He was pretty much spot on. I mean, live you wouldn't know any different, but you get it in here on Pro Tools, and everyone wants it to sound perfect nowadays, right? Or close enough, right? So what we did with the MIDI, obviously with MIDI you can easily align that to click. We're running 170 beats per minute on this song. It's 4/4 time signature, so 170 beats per minute. And then what you do is you track those drums, track the MIDI hits, and then you can quantize those and get those to line up perfectly in time. There might be some nudge in here and there if there's one that's too far off. I didn't know where to put it, but overall it just pretty much just whoop, whoop, lines it up, you know. So that's, you know, cheating nowadays, but it is what it is. Everyone does it. Now the overheads are a little different. You can't really quantize just natural sounds. It doesn't work that well. I know there's talk of like elastic audio and different things. I don't know. I couldn't get it to work right. But anyways, I went in there and manually aligned everything. You know, even if they're a little bit off, because you're still going to hear the drum hits in the overheads, right? You hear the cymbals, obviously, but there's also the snare hit is the most prominent. Kick, toms are all there in the overheads too. So, you know, if you got a snare hit that got aligned on the MIDI, right? So she lined up and she's on time. And naturally it was a little bit off, right? So the overheads are going to hit it a little bit off. Well, you got to align those overhead recordings, each hit, to the MIDI to get it to sound dead on. Or else you're going to get some weird, you know, timing issues and some weird, almost like ghost notes type thing going on. So that's what all those cuts and splices, and I mean, they're very minor. They look like a lot, but it didn't take too long. You just go through and kind of align everything, and then it just sounds a lot better once it's all perfectly lined up. So that's the drums. Let's take a listen here, see what they sound like. So I'm going to solo the drums out. Again, Ken did a great job. I think the tone we got was phenomenal. So here we go. I got the bass guitar on too. Where's that? So yeah, I think it sounds great. Not bad for a garage. So if you look here on the mix page, obviously you right and left your overhead to get that stereo image, right? Get a slight EQ on the cymbals. Again, the biggest thing is I cut out all the low end. You don't need any low end on those overheads. It just adds mud to the mix. So we're gonna cut that back. Just focus on the high end. I gave it a little boost around 5K or so. And then we run them through a compressor. Standard drum compression. Nothing out, nothing crazy. Same thing on the other side. Right and left, right? And then on the drums themselves, we use contact, as you can see. You know, GBD, one kit wonder metal. Nothing crazy there. Then I ran through an EQ. So this is the EQ I came up with for Ken's drums. So it's a preset I saved for all the songs that we're going to be doing. Just a little bit of carving here and there, moving around. Again, I took a little bit of high end out of the very top end, above 10K. You just don't need all that really high end sizzle. It's just too much, you know. So, and then the last thing, we run through a compressor, another drum compressor. That gets to the pop a little bit. Take it off there, and you can hear the difference. Just boost it right up. So you can also see the EQ. If I take that off, kind of flattens it out, doesn't it? Yeah, anyways, great sounding drums. Look at the analyzer here. good looking analysis here on the sound. Staying pretty much in phase. Everything's right up the middle stereo wise, so it looks really good. And that's the drums, guys. I think they turned out really good. And we use a lot of the same on all the other songs that we'll be releasing as well. We don't change a lot. Try to keep it all the same on those. Okay, let's go back over here to the main page on Pro Tools. Now let's go up to the guitar parts. As you can see, there's a lot of guitar parts on this song. I think the intro main riff has 6 or 7 guitar parts on it. The chorus has 8, I believe. So there's a lot of rhythm parts. They're doing a little bit different things here and there. Gabriel, comes in and brings the candy and just sprinkles it over the top. Makes it kind of sound better. But we'll just kind of break these down a little bit. Nothing fancy on these guitar parts. I'm running. It's on the ground here. I'm running a Kemper profiler. It's an Archon profile that I've kind of came up with on my own and tweaked. It's kind of a wetter sound, I would call it, a little more saturated sound than what Gabriel does on his end, which he recorded his at his place over in Virginia. I'm in Kansas. What? Anyways. Gabriel also uses an Archon profile that he made on his own. His tone is a little bit more of a dry sound, which I absolutely love both of them. And when you blend them together, I think that's when the juices just flow. It's just, either too juicy or too dry. So you put them in there and they're perfect. So anyways, so that's what he's doing. We're both running Archons. We run PRS guitars. That's kind of all we use is all these PRS guitars over here. And I think he's got a few thousand of them or something. I'm kidding. Anyways, let's go to the main riff here. Start the song out. First thing that kicks off is the little intro, which is this guitar part here. Now that actually wasn't tracked on that part. That wasn't the intro originally. That's actually a section of the outro that Gabriel wrote that I just kind of cut a piece out of. And you can look over here, come over here to the back end of the song, and I think it's right about here. We'll solo it out so you can hear it. This is the chunk I used for the beginning of the song. So yeah, that's the section I used. I love the way that sounded tonally, and I think it would lead well into the song. So what I did was I cut it out of there. You can see the little section I spliced out of there, and then brought it over here on its own track, intro track. And I think what I added to it was just mainly reverb. Where's it at? I don't know where to go. Somewhere. There it is. So many tracks. Yeah, so mainly just use reverb. Use a lot of this Valhalla vintage reverb. If you guys don't know what that is, you should, okay? Because it's awesome. Really good reverb. Obviously with that intro I maxed it out 100% and didn't really touch anything else on the preset. So I also use the Howard Benson vocal plugin quite a bit on vocals, but I also use it on guitar. So this is actually on his guitar part, the intro part, and they got a rhythm guitar preset that I use a lot, and what it does is it kind of brightens up the guitar tone a little bit, makes it kind of stick out a little bit more. So use that on a lot of guitars, not all of them, but quite a bit. So yeah, that's that intro part, and then we roll into the main riff. So let's go ahead and play it. From the top. that's the main riff of the song there. And what you hear is that them guitar parts are kind of very. It's a groove. It's got a groove to it. It's very fluid. But the bass guitar is actually completely different. So the bass guitar is more in line with what this song originally was, and this was a song that Ken brought to us. It was a drum track that he laid down at his place, and then he tracked some rough guitars over the top of it, and it was really more of a staccato, like a really hesitant riff. That's what it started out with, and I turned it into this groove riff, where it just kind of flows a little better. But the bass guitar I left the old way, and I think it punches better that way. So here's the bass guitar soloed out on this. You can hear it's a lot more kind of broken, I guess you could call it. So yeah, you can hear that's more hesitant than the guitars, which I'll solo the main riff guitars out here. You can kind of hear them. So again, those groove a little more, they kind of just flow. And that bass guitar working against it, I think that just makes the mix punch a little bit more on that. There's also a lead part that I came up with on the back half of that. Just a little bitty lead lick. I'm not no Gabriel, that's for sure, but this is what we did on that. So again, let's look over here at the mix page. See what we got going on here. So a lot of these up front here, we didn't use a Kemper on. We used I use the STL tone hub on some of this stuff, not all of it. Main chorus riff and stuff like that, that's the Kemper. But you can see on that lead part, we use STL tone hub. What do we use for a preset here? Atrium Audio JCM 800 Marshall. So that's what we used on that one. Looks like it's got stomp box engaged on it too. Then we run it through the Benson, which is what I was talking about earlier, that rhythm guitar. And their preset, the gain's usually up around 2 or 3, I think. And I think it's too bright. So what I usually do is pull this deck down to 0, basically, maybe a little bit above. I think it was at 0.2. Just kind of tames that high end down a little bit. But it just pushes those guitars a little harder, is what that Benson does. It runs a little bit of compression on there. And then again, that vintage reverb, dialed back to 25% though on that one. It's not as prominent. It just gives it so much more room and space in the mix, you know. Let's see here. Now we're going to go to the main riff, which is this one here, so you can hear it. So again, that is actually the Kemper, and that Kemper is so handy because I just plug it in and there's no plugins here. So you can see on all these, I'm just running that Kemper straight into the board, and all I do is adjust the volume of it. That's it. So absolutely love that thing. It has been amazing to use. I know there's a lot of options for those profiling amps these days, but man, that Kemper is something else. So yeah, that's the main riff, bass guitar, little lead lick there. Let's go on to the verses now. What do you say? Here we go on the verses. Okay, so that was the first verse, obviously. Again, it's a really groove-heavy song. Let's start with the bass guitar on that. I think it's a great bass riff. It's very simple, but it just carries it very well. Obviously, with the bass guitar, we got a little distortion on there. Again, we're using tone hub on that. We're plugging the bass right into the preamp on this, and then we're just reamping it. And we have the Atrium Ampeg modeling. You can kind of see what I did there with all that, but just a nice round tone, good bottom into it, and it's got some bite, so you know you can feel it in the mix a little bit better with that distortion. So, anyways, great bass tone. I actually absolutely love the bass tone on this song. The main guitars on that verse are these two here. Again, we're using tone hub on that, JCM 800, and on the Benson this time I'm pretty sure we're running a really high echo rate. So yeah, echo's up pretty high in the mix there. That's where you're getting that slap back and forth. It's basically a slap echo is kind of what it is, but I absolutely love the way it sounds on vocals and also on guitars. You can just kind of hear it bouncing all around in the background of the mix, and just really pulls the color out of the mix. I think it just makes it hit well. So. Alright, in the back half of that verse, and this goes the same for the second verse. We won't cover that one, but it's pretty much the same thing. There is another riff that comes in. This is the heavier riff, and then Gabriel's got a riff that he starts, a little lead lick that he runs with. So here's the, I guess the secondary riff on that. Again, that's the Kemper directly in on that. So if you put, let's put those two main verse parts, the bass guitar, and then that lick in there. Let's see what it sounds like. And then lastly, Gabriel's lead part here, which I'm going to solo it out on its own. You can hear that. So that's Gabriel's part that he put in there. I think it really adds a lot of color and texture to the song. But it's very simple, straightforward. I think it's great. As you can hear, his tone, like I said, is a little drier sounding than what I got. So I think they complement each other very well. So we're just running on his. It's just his guitar part, and then that Benson, I use that on his too to brighten it, just to brighten that input up a little bit, and add a little compression. And then also he's got a little reverb and delay on that too, that I slapped on there. Just gives it more dimension, you know. So, so let's hear it all together without the drums on that verse. I think it's just a killer verse. So yeah, that's the verse. We'll cover the vocals a little bit later, but that's the guitar parts of the verses. Now onto the chorus. There's a lot of parts on the chorus here. Let's listen to it real quick. That's how the story goes. Another break inside us, always down, and I've got nothing left to lose. I'm suffocated. So yeah, that chorus is just It's just banging, man. I mean, it's banging. A lot of guitars going on there, obviously. I'm sure some of you are like, how are you going to play that live? You just play the main one, silly. Come on. So here is the first one I'm going to show you. Now, this is actually the chord progression, but I'm doing a kind of a pick with it. I'm going to open tuning on this. This is going on in the background. You can't really hear it prominently, but it just adds another dimension to the mix, a little more color to it, which is, I mean, that's how you get that big sound, is you just keep adding stuff to make it just sound so huge that you want to, bang your head to it. So here we go. So yeah, that's on the chorus. You probably didn't even notice that. So, but it's in there. And if I take it out, you notice it right away that it's missing. Other part I have up here is on the back half. It's a little octave chord setup that I got going on here. If you put those two together. So yeah, that sounds cool as it is, right? It's just awesome. Now the main guitar parts are just big power chords basically, but fills it out nicely. Yeah, just straightforward, right at you. Nothing fancy there. And the last part would be Gabriel's lead part on this. Yeah, again, lays in there really nice. Let's go ahead and put them all together now. You can hear them all together. Here we go. So yeah, just a massive sounding wall of sound coming at you. Just a whole lot of guitar, which is what I enjoy. Just fills it out really nice. Alright, let's move on. Let's go to the bridge now. Check out this crazy ass guitar solo. I said ass. Shh, sorry. Check out this solo here. First off, let's see, where am I at? I love that break right there. It's just so awesome. Starting out with the bass guitar, it's another simple bass riff, but man, it just feels right. Feels perfect. Just an awesome little intro there to the bridge. Again, straightforward with the guitars. That's all Kemper plugged straight in. The bass guitar is that Ampeg STL Tone Hub preset. And then we're going to go into that heavy riff on the bridge, which is what the solo goes over. And I just love this riff. It's just a really fun riff to play. It's not anything crazy hard. It's just so much fun to play it. So here's that heavy riff. awesome. Awesome, simple riff, man. You can't beat that. Something to bang your head to, right? Now let's go over this crazy guitar solo section here. That solo is insane. Jesus, Gabriel! Just crazy. Anyways, let's hear that thing all put together now, okay? What do you say? Let's give it a whirl. Where is it at? Now let's give it a whirl. Here we go. Just awesome song. I absolutely love playing this song. Make sure when you listen to it, you turn it all the way up to, max. Blow them speakers out, because that's the best way to listen to this stuff. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Lastly, let's talk about the vocals a little bit. So first off, let's talk about the verses here. Let's see if I can find where the heck I'm at. Oh, they're up here. Right here is the verses. You can see I got lazy. I didn't label these vocals. I'm slacking, okay? So. Isolate this hate from me. I wish it all away. So there's the first verse vocal there. I'll do 7. Let's see here. Where are we at? Too many. So you can look up here, AT Pro. How many of you know what that is? It's auto-tune, silly. Good Lord. And I'm going to get, someone's going to be like, whoa, you're using auto-tune. You shouldn't do that. That's cheating. Well, everyone does it, so I don't care. Sounds good. It works. It makes the workflow easier. Everybody, probably even Shania Twain. She uses that stuff too. So, you just got to deal with it. So we run this microphone here is what I did for the vocals. Shure, is it SM7B? I think is what these are called. Great microphone. Been around for a long time. I don't do a lot of crazy stuff with the vocals. Auto-tune. Obviously, you want to sing it as close to on key as you can. Auto-tune is good for fixing stuff, but it can't fix crap. So if you sing bad enough, it's going to just freak out on you. So you got to be close to get it done. So it's just made for minor adjustments here and there. And I don't use it like them rappers do, with the pitch shifting going on. We use what we call graph mode on auto-tune. And what that does is you actually go into auto-tune and you manually imprint your vocals onto a graph on auto-tune. I'll just kind of show you here what I'm talking about. So you can see there's a graph right there. See, I was close on that. Anyways, and then what you can do, where need be, not everywhere, you can nudge those notes a little bit to get them to line up. It's got like a note, it's laid out kind of like a piano key on the side. Shows you which each notes are, and that graph shows you where your vocals were at in regards to a note, a chromatic note. And you just do some tweaking, minor tweaking there to get it to, smoothen out a little bit if there's some rough spots or whatever. But it works great. It does the job that it's supposed to do. I try not to use it too much. Obviously, you want to be able to sing it, but there are times where it does help out a lot. So, not gonna lie. Then after that, we run it through the Howard Benson. Again, I use this a lot for vocals and guitars mainly. It's not just meant for vocals. I mean, it's a compressor, EQ, multiplier, so it kind of gives your voice kind of almost two slightly offset from each other. You can do vocal width on there. I don't use that a lot. Echo, if you're mixing vocals at all, if you want them to sit better in a mix, you got to put some echo and some reverb on there too. You got to use it accordingly. Obviously, you don't want to go crazy, but if you just throw a dry vocal on a recording like this, compress it, EQ it, that's it. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb. It's just not going to blend into the mix very well. So it's a delicate dance of getting this to fit right. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it or I'm even great at it. I'm just doing the best I can and always learning with this. I also, I use the Benson a lot. I also have the Chris Lord-Alge vocal plug-in too that does a pretty good job. And sometimes I'll stack them. I'll use them both, if I want to get some really compressed or weird pancake sounding thing, throw them all together and make it work. But so auto-tune, Howard Benson. I'll also use this Harmony engine quite a bit. Again, technology is awesome, so deal with it. Harmony engine, what you can do, and I don't use it necessarily. You could make a third or a fifth harmony off this. It doesn't do a very good job, I found. It sounds too auto pitchy that way. But what I use it for a lot is, so obviously this here is your main input. So that's your main vocal coming in. Then I just got these 2 tracks, and I got one panned a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, and they're turned down quite a bit. Actually, they're not showing the right numbers here. There. Yeah, that's right. So your main vocal should be a 0. And the other 2 are a -6, so they kind of sit behind your main vocal. And each, so you have your main vocal up, prominent up front and center, and then these 2, and they're the exact same vocal. There's no pitch change difference or anything like that. It just kind of lays them back and behind there and thickens it up a little bit more. This is Antares plug-in, so it's the same people that make Auto-Tune. They have a lot of cool modeling, vocal modeling stuff. There's another one I use. I don't think I use it on this song, but I use it quite a bit on the other ones called a duo. And what that does is it takes one voice and splits it into a stereo field left and right, and you can kind of adjust the timing on them a little bit to give it the sound of singing 2 tracks. Just really cool sounding. And also really helps with the production side of things. I'm not having to double track record everything. Obviously if I need to, I will, but if I can cut corners, I'm going to do it because I'm lazy, just going to say it how it is. So yeah, that was the vocal tracks there. Pretty straightforward. On the second half of the verses, we have a harmony that we put in here. So I got a high part and then a low part. I'll kind of show you what that is here.
So I'll do my time while I'm numb inside.
Again, cool sounding vocal there. Kind of gives you that harmony engine, almost gives it kind of a velvety gloss to it a little bit. I think it sounds kind of distinct, kind of different from what a lot of other people are doing. And here is the chorus. So let's see what we got.
That's how the story goes.
So that's the main vocal there. That lower part is actually me. I can't sing high very well, so I reached out to a friend of mine Paul O'Donnell over in Ireland, actually, and we've done some work together in the past. And that Irishman, he can sing, okay? He gets pretty high. And I had him do a harmony to that. So if we do those together, let's listen to what those sound like.
That's how the story goes. Another brick inside us, always down, and I've got nothing left to lose. I'm suffocating.
You can hear those two, going together there. I think it sounds really, really good what he did vocally. He kind of danced all around there, and he's got different tone to him. It sounds really cool though when you put them together.
That's how this story goes.
Yeah, you can see he's belting it out right there. They just go. I think they go really well together, and it fits the song. So
that's how the story goes. Another brick inside us, always down, and I've got nothing left to lose. I'm suffocating.
So yeah, I think that's in a nutshell pretty much the song. Quite a few tracks recorded on this song. This was the first one we ever did. So this was Ken's baby that he started with, and he just threw out an idea, and we took it and ran with it. And I think what we put together was something pretty cool, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this little behind the mix thing. Keep doing these for all the other ones here coming up. We'll be releasing a lot more material over the next year, and hopefully more after that as we keep writing. So anyways, hope you enjoyed yourself. You take care now. Bye.